Greetings, I'm Dr. Max Gomez, and we are speaking with experts now at the Fifth International Vatican Conference. And we have with us Dr. Rudolph Tanzi, Professor of Neurology at Harvard Medical School and the Massachusetts General Hospital. Rudy, welcome, and thanks for being with us today.
Thanks so much. I'm thrilled to be here.
Great. Well, let's start out with, because I think we've all been to a number of different scientific meetings, medical meetings, and so forth, and they tend to be relatively narrowly focused on a theme or a topic or an organ for that matter. But this Vatican conference really brings together people from all sorts of worlds and fields and silos. What do you think is the value of that kind of a meeting, or this kind of a meeting and conference?
Well, I think there's incredible value in the cross-fertilization that you get when you have folks from many different backgrounds with many different expertises, be it science, the financial world and economics, the spiritual and religious world. When you get folks like that together and they share their views and they're all at the top of their game, you start to think out of the box a little bit about your own work, and you go home and next thing you know, you're doing experiments, in my case as a scientist, I might not have ever done before.
I think that, and that's so important. So one of the areas that's a hot area of research these days is, of course, inflammation. And inflammation is good and bad. Can you talk to me a little bit about ways to reduce inflammation, but tell me about give me a little background on inflammation here.
Well, you know, inflammation evolved as our first line of defense against microbial pathogens. So if you take COVID, for example, while your antibodies are getting ready to fight after you're infected, and that can take days, your innate immune system, that's what basically controls inflammation, takes place. So if you have too much of an inflammatory response to COVID, then you get into trouble. So inflammation is a double-edged sword. You need it for that first line of defense until the more evolved adaptive immune system with antibodies kicks in, but you don't want it to go too far. And if you're inducing inflammation every day because of a junk diet, or not enough sleep, or not enough exercise, or too much stress, then that inflammation is going to just slowly cause degeneration of tissues and cells and organs, because it can't distinguish when cells die, especially in the brain, for example. When cells die in the brain, neurons start to die. You have these cells called glial cells that are normally housekeepers, and they're good little guys. They're cleaning up while you sleep. They're cleaning up debris that could cause inflammation. But while they're cleaning up, if they eat a piece of a neuron that died, they're programmed to say, oh, a nerve cell died, it must be an infection. See, because 25,000 years ago, we're running around in the jungle and lifespan is 25 years old. If neurons are dying in your brain, it's probably not Alzheimer's. You probably got a bad mosquito bite and you're suffering from some encephalitis. So these little helper cells, these glial cells, are programmed to say when they see nerve cells dying and they get that information, wipe out that part of the brain. It's infected, it's compromised. We don't want the infection to spread. So it's because that's how inflammation evolved, and now we carry that baggage with us. And it's a double-edged sword.
So we want some, but not too much. So Rudy, how do we find that Goldilocks range in between too much and too little inflammation?
I think the key is to not have cells dying in your brain or your body for bad reasons. I mean, yes, cells do eventually die. They get turned over. But if you're eating junk food, if you're stressed out, you're eating too much fat and sugar, you're not getting enough sleep that's needed to clear that debris out of the brain that can cause inflammation. You're not getting enough exercise that, again, causes that debris to be cleared out of the brain. Sleep, exercise, good diet, all serve to basically take out the garbage, take out that debris that can trigger cell loss, which triggers inflammation. So I use an acronym myself called SHIELD, and we use it in the McCann Center for Brain Health that I co-direct at Mass General. SHIELD is, S is sleep, get 7 to 8 hours, even if it's not all at once. H is handle stress, because stress can produce cortisol that kills nerve cells in the brain and triggers inflammation. I is interaction, stay social. The brain likes that, it alleviates stress, unless you're with somebody you don't like, of course. E is for exercise. So, try for 20 minutes a day. It doesn't have to be robust, you know. L, learn new things, because it's like money in the bank. You make new nerve cells and you have them as a reserve. So as you lose them, you don't lose it faster, right? It's like money in the bank. So every time you're learning new things, you're making new synapses, new connections between nerve cells. See, it's called synaptic reserve. And that means learning new things, not just brain games, but like we're doing right now, learning new things. And D is diet. So Mediterranean diet. I'm a vegetarian personally, but less fat, sugar, red meat, etc. And take care of your gut microbiome. That means a lot of fiber and plant food. So a lot of plant-based food, because those bacteria in your gut keep your whole body and brain healthy, and they love fiber and plants. That's what they like to eat. So probiotics are good, but it's more important to feed those bacteria you already have and keep them happy, because then they'll keep your body happy and healthy.
Dr. Rudy Tanzi, great guidelines for a healthy, long brain life, which is very important to all of us. Thank you for being with us today. We really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you.